Here we are again. It's Saturday morning. Another pretty hot day. Bit of cloud, but it's still hot. I feel a sweat on me, and I've only just been warming up. Uh, so last few workouts, I decided to kick off with a walk. So just because I suppose related to the pleasant weather, might as well take advantage of it. So incorporate it into your workouts. Make your workouts as pleasant as possible. Uh, So I think I did, if I remember correctly, about 3,100 steps, which is not a great deal, but serves its purpose. Wakes you up in the morning. Uh, then I did something called the world's greatest stretch, which, if you know what it is, it's a sort of like one one hand on the deck, one leg behind, and sort of like, I don't know. I'm not going to try and I'm not going to do it. Uh, a bit of holding the bottom position of a squat, 20 kilo plate, just sitting in the bottom for half a minute, and then I did a warm up with the empty bar. So it's only 60 kilos today. That's it. So I'm coming out of the deload just about. So this has been a deload week. Started off last week where I did the weekend. I did completely zero, nothing, and then there's been some fairly moderate training during the week, and now it's starting to pick up a little bit, but this is still quite not bad. But yeah, feel a lot better for it, for sure, for sure. I highly recommend, the, a deload. If in doubt, deload. Yeah, I mean, you make it as easy or as hard as you want. If you're in a, when everything starts hurting, when you just lose your enthusiasm to train hard. When well, I also noticed that my sleep becomes interrupted more. I say more. Uh, and yeah, just in general, it's you feel it. If you've got some experience, you know it's time to pull back. But always work. A deload always works. A deload, in fact, for me, a deload is a hard thing to do. You always want to. It's always that push, progress, push. Want it. Yeah, it's like kid in a sweet shop. You want everything. You want it all now. Uh, but you got to play it smart. I think, especially as you get a little bit older, you know. So this is fit at 60 plus. You got to have a bit of strategy and tactics about you. I'm not saying it's rocket science, but you got to give it some thought. So yeah, you can't just simply go full on all the time. You have to pull back now and again, give your body a chance, heal up, recover, yeah, get back in the mood for it. I think a lot of it is psychological as well, just mental. So your body may be able, but your mind doesn't want to push it sometimes. But, yeah, deload relights the fire for sure. You're ready for it again. But yeah, I think it's all a positive thing that you know this game, in many ways, this game of fitness and pumping weights and all the rest of it is very much a game for older people. Okay, it's a lot of fun when you're young to do the posing and all the rest of it, but it's not needed really. It's not very much needed. I think you can get away with it when you're young, but when you're older, I think it becomes much more a necessity for health. And I think the older you get, the more necessary it is to try and fight off, to stave off that decline and decrepitude that comes with old age. But anyway, let's get it done. So I'm looking for 60 kilos. That's all. Well, I say 60 kilos. It's a bar, whatever it weighs. I'm assuming it's more than 20 kilos actually, plus 40 kilos in weights. Uh, so this is something that I don't find it easy. The safety squat bar. It's quite alien to me. Most of my squatting has been done powerlifting style. The bar quite low down your back, and it's hitting sort of like posterior chain, lower back, glutes, much more than it is hitting quads. So when I go onto this safety squat bar, it's almost like doing, starting from zero almost. I've got very little previous experience on it. I find it tough, but I think precisely because of that reason, because it is tough, I think it's worth doing. Yeah. So all of this game, I think you can say the same thing. Don't try and look for the easy ways. It doesn't do anything for you. Look for the hard ways. The full range of motion and down into deep depth. Yeah. My depth is very deep. I think. I can't get to this depth. So basically, I don't know if you can see it, but I just touch this brick. Without the weight on my back, I can't even get down there. So for me, it's a very deep squat, and that makes a massive difference. Yeah, it makes a big difference to the amount of weight you can put on the bar. To me, that's a good thing. Yeah, that's a good thing. I believe that the more you can get out of lightweight, the better. Why put loads and loads of weight on your spine? Yeah, and also, you think about squatting when you got loads of weight up on it. It's very difficult to well, say it's very difficult, but it's more difficult to balance it and to maneuver, and it's all the more risk of something going wrong, tipping over, and all the rest of it. So the more you can get out of lightweight, the better, I think. And one way of doing that is very strict squats as regards depth. Yeah. So I would say a very deep squat is much harder than a parallel squat, I think. Okay, let's do it. So I think last time I did this, I got sets of 6, but I'm going to go for, I think probably attempt 8. I think 8 is doable because last time I got 6. I then put the weight up, so I think 8. But if it's 7, it's 7. Okay, I counted 8. I think the whole thing got interrupted by a bit of phlegm. So let's start that little obstruction and have to pause, let's say. But I think that was 8. Pretty sure that was 8, which is good. Okay. So I'm not going to put the weight up. I'm still in the realm of deload. So I mean that was a fairly hard effort. It wasn't easy, but I think normally I'd be tempted to slap a couple of little plates on. You normally find that the first set is quite difficult because the squat's quite a technical movement. Is mobility issues involved, let's say. So as soon as you get past a set, you tend to loosen up more. Regardless of how you warmed up, no warm up can substitute for the actual act of doing the squat, a proper set, a hard set. But then I usually find that the subsequent sets, you've loosened up. Obviously, then you get the issue of fatigue. But usually, second set feels a little bit better than the first set. So usually I'd be tempted to put a little bit more weight on, but I'm going to play it safe, play it smart, and take my sweet time. That's 60 for 8. That will probably write that on my progress chart at some point. So I've got a spare minute, so I'll reiterate what I'm trying to do in this current period. Yeah. So I picked 4 proper barbell lifts: OHP, bench, squat, and deadlift. Big ones really. And I'm aiming to get 5 reps on each one of them with certain percentages of body weight. So, for example, bench press, 5 reps with my body weight. Deadlift, 5 reps with 1.75 times body weight. Squat, 5 reps with 1.5 times body weight. OHP, 5 reps with 3/4 of body weight. Now, some of them I can already do. In fact, the bench and the deadlift, I've got those in the bag. So they're just being put in maintenance mode. But squat, I'm definitely behind. OHP is really my weak link. I'm really going to struggle with the OHP, so I'm going to dedicate a lot of this training to a OHP focus. But alongside those barbell lifts, I've also got some body weight lifts. So pull-ups, I need 12 reps. Dips, 15 reps. Press-ups, 30 reps. Yeah. So I can't just eat my way into strength. I've got to preserve the body weight stuff, and also a mile in under 9 minutes. So let's see how it all goes in the end. The idea being to do it all in the same week. So all the goals, I've got to hit them in the same week. Come on then, let's do another 8, I believe. Go! Yep, that was 8. So for me, so historically, my squatting has been low bar powerlifting for low reps. That has been the bulk of my squatting. So this is this is something that I'm not well versed in. So this is a very high bar because it's a safety squat bar. So the whole thing rests on a pad, so it takes it even higher. The weight is very much to the front of you, which means that you've got to, it hits your upper back a lot. I think it hits the quads more, but also the sheer amount of reps. I find that anything beyond 5 reps, then it's a struggle on a different front. You're struggling to sort of like do the breathing with the weight on your back, that sort of thing. But yeah, as I keep saying, you actively search out what's difficult because that's what works. That's what gives you the adaptations. So if it's easy, it's not doing much for you. having said that, I think you know, especially with these big lifts, you know, squat, bench, deadlift, especially these big lifts, I think people underestimate, you know, the power of, how do I put it, a moderate effort. You know, you don't have to take these big lifts to failure. You know, all the little stuff. If I was doing curls and extensions and lateral raises, you know, that sort of thing. I don't know, rows, chins, dips, yeah, all that sort of stuff. I don't mind taking that to failure, yeah. But on these power lifts, I avoid it. I think it's very expensive taking these, you know, on your recovery ability. So it drains your battery. It builds a lot of fatigue to take these squats, bench not so much, but still, squats, bench, deadlift to failure. OHP, yeah. I think because I'm handling such small weights, you know, my OHP ability is so pathetic. Then I don't think that does me much harm to take that to failure either. But what I'm saying is that you can get a lot out of these big lifts without taking them to the absolute limit. It's probably a better idea to avoid the absolute limit, or at least only visit it very infrequently. As I say, you know, the cost of it, the fatigue cost outweighs the benefit. Okay, one last set, hopefully 8. This will be a hard 8, I think, if I get 8. Eight. That felt pretty good actually. Yeah. In fact, it probably felt easier in the second set. Yeah. I'm not saying easy, but easier. I think I got more into a rhythm. Yeah. So once you're, you know, once you're up and running, well lubricated, you know, you can squat in a machine-like fashion, like a piston in an engine. So every rep's the same. You know, you go through the same breathing pattern every rep. Yeah, all right. That so, as I say, okay. I think I'll leave the recording on, and I'm going to do a few good mornings. So I'll change the timer. Thing about the good morning, I'd like to do it on this setup. You know, this safety bar. This safety bar is ideal for good mornings, I think. You know, so whereas for squatting, it makes it harder. I think for good mornings, it makes it easier. Not easier in the sense of muscular effort, but in the sense of the setup, and you don't struggle with it, with holding the bar in position, etc., etc. You know, the bar just goes into a perfect position every time. Okay, I can't immediately see what I'm comparing to. Okay, I think 60. If I leave 60 kilos on the bar, yeah, I can't find a good morning example recently. Anyway, not to worry. If I leave 60 kilos on the bar, I think that'll be a good start, and it'll probably. Hold on, if I look where's my safety squat bar example, it's going to be there. Well, give me 1 second. If I can't find it, I can't find it. Okay, there isn't one. Oh, aha. It looks like 60 for 8. Okay. Well, that's exactly the same. Okay, add it on a 4-minute timer by the looks of it. So I put it on a 4-minute timer. Okay, so hold on. If I've done 60 for 8, I'm going to have to go 62.5. Yeah, sorry for being a bit disorderly there, but should have had all this thought out in advance. Okay, so 62.5. Okay, the way I do these good mornings is the handle, if you can see that handle there, touches my leg every time, so you get the pretty much a carbon copy rep every time, which is something that I aim for. You know, I really dislike sort of like random reps. For example, you see people doing bench press, and they're sort of like, they take it up so far, yeah. Which is, I'm not saying it's not a viable technique. You don't have to lock anything out or anything like that for it to work. But for me, I cannot be sure that I'm progressing unless every rep is sort of like a carbon copy. And I find that the best way to know that is to go through full range of motion every rep. Okay, so let's do some good mornings. Let's say 4-minute timer, get 3 sets. So let's see what happens. Yeah, that was a good hard 8 reps. So again, I'm going to leave that weight the same. Yeah, I can definitely feel the heat. I've got sweat on, for sure, for sure. I suppose we're coming into that time of year whereby, for a relatively brief period, it becomes too hot for training. I mean, obviously, keep training, you don't stop. But I'm saying it's the heat then becomes a bit of a negative. But I think in those circumstances, you can adapt again. Do do stuff with pretty long rest periods. Yeah, explore the heavy end maybe. I say I tend to cut out the the hard cardio. So for me, you know, the jogging, running, I tend to do it more in the winter time. Yeah, I find it quite pleasant in winter time. You warm up pretty quickly, but in summertime it's just too hot, really. Again, you don't have to stop, but it's just my choice. So I'm just going to do a little bit. I'm going to do some rucking. I've already started. So weighted vest walking. So normal walking and weighted vest walking. That's the bulk of my cardio. Okay, so another set of 8, hopefully. So this one should be quite tough, I think. Eight. Not bad. Got a good cadence going, I felt. You can feel it when it's going right. It becomes machine-like. So when it's not right, it's raggedy. You have to stop and reset and push yourself, and mentally really struggle to get the next rep. But I don't think you need to do that. At least not very often. This is I say you can you get experience at these things. It does become sort of like machine like, piston in an engine, all the reps the same, uniform. There's no great struggle until maybe right at the end, and then on these big moves, probably better off avoiding the the final utter grind at the end. Just avoid that. When you get there. When you got sort of like one rep maybe. Yeah. I mean, I rarely stop. I rarely stop a set unless I'm very near the end. But equally, I pick my battles as regards failure. So, historically, I have been sort of like more inclined to go for the failure training rather than the easier volume training. Well, I say easier, but volume training with non-failure sets, let's say. But as I've grown a bit older and wiser, You know, I now think that the failure training is best reserved for the smaller stuff, the accessories. You know, the lesser movements, the ones that aren't as challenging. I think good morning is pretty hard. You know, it's not quite as hard as squats and deadlifts, but it's probably harder than bench press. Anyway, no, this is carved in stone. Really, it's just my, you know, my thinking based on personal experience, not much more. Okay, so one more set, then I'll finish the filming. So those three quite, you know, sorry, 6 quite substantial sets on squats and good mornings. So I thought those are worth filming. Yeah, you know, a little bit of drama and effort where you got to push to get them. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Last set of 8, hopefully. Okay, felt pretty good. Not bad. Reasonable. Okay, I think that's it for filming today. So I don't think I'm going to film anything tomorrow. Tomorrow, I've got it down as active rest. So active rest probably means a walk, some stretching, probably some neck work, maybe more grippers. Yeah, that sort of thing. So it's, you know, it's all little stuff. It's nothing worth watching. Just nothing really to get too enthusiastic about. But just one little, you know, all the walking, stretching, mobility, and the little movements. They all add to the result. Now they're all part and parcel of the process. So just get it done. Okay, bye.